18-year-old Australian guard Dante Exum has decided to make the jump to the NBA next season. Exum is regarded as the top 5 draft pick by NBA scouts and GMs. Also, he is currently ranked number 4 in ESPN's top 100. I'm Tony Collins with your ESPN headline. Joining us over the phone is ESPN NBA writer Brian Windhurst. Brian, with Andrew Wiggins, Julius Randle, Jabari Parker getting most of the attention, Exum is said to be one of the best prospects many don't know of. What makes him so good?
He's got great size. He's 6'6", and he can play both guard positions. But this is a little bit of a throwback to a decade ago when we didn't know a lot about a prospect because he was mostly a high school player. Because he's an Australian, his father is an American who was a basketball star, and he moved to Australia to play professionally, very much like Kyrie Irving's father did. Kyrie Irving was born in Australia. But because he's been playing there, he has basically been a high school player for most of his career, and he made a name for himself in international competitions, but we've seen very little of him. And it's reminiscent of those days when guys were coming right out of high school, when you just saw stats and little video clips that you didn't really know, and the guy was sort of a surprise and really was playing on potential more than knowing how he would go against competition that was older than him. He has not played in competition against guys who are 3, 4, 5 years older than he would have gotten in college. So mostly people are excited about him because of a couple of huge international stagings he had and just his overall size and skill.
You did mention his size, 6'6", he's 188 pounds, 6'9" wingspan. Which teams do you think would go for Exum?
Well, it's hard to say now. It depends on where everything lines up. But the one thing about him is he is really a bit of a mystery. And his agent, who he just decided to hire yesterday, Rob Pelinka, is known for trying to steer players in the draft to certain teams and not making the player really available to everybody to see. And so he may see how the draft process works out in terms of who's in what order and maybe attempt to steer him to a certain team. That's a value here because most teams will not have a whole lot of tape or have a whole lot of notes on him because he's only played in a couple of international tournaments in Europe, and also the Nike Hoop Summit, which is an annual event every year between top teenagers in America versus the rest of the world. There's very little out there on him, and so if you want to draft him, you're going to want to have him into your complex and work him out and see him against other players. And if his agent doesn't want you to draft him, he won't send him there. So he might not end up being actually a top 5 pick. It may, his agent may want to steer him somewhere else. So that's another factor that was interesting in this decision to announce to go pro, that he signed with Rob Pelinka, who is known to do that.
ESPN NBA writer Brian Windhurst with the insight. Once again, 18-year-old Australian phenom Dante Exum has decided to enter the NBA draft. I'm Tony Collins with your ESPN headline.